Hi everybody, it's Amy at Crafty Cat. So what we're going to do today, you can see I have my little funky plastic tray, and all this is the lid to, I think it was a brownie tray, so that you could take it, you know, to like a picnic or a get together or whatever in the world. But the pan is since croaked, and so I had the lid left, so it's a great little spot. It's about probably 1.5 inches deep. And it's just great to dye papers in, or spray stuff, or watercolor stuff, whatever, just so I don't get my table all wet. Not that this table is covered in like a plastic stuff anyway, so it would probably be fine, but you know, it's always good to have something like that. So a while back, but I have a brain like a sieve, somebody asked me to please show how I made the tissue paper. And it was this tissue paper, and I also stamped tissue paper that some people were interested in. So we're going to do both, just so that you can see, you know, how in the world I did this. It's very, very, very simple. The stamping, obviously, is definitely very simple, because all you do is stamp with whatever stamps you want. I use black VersaFine, this ink, and that worked great. I didn't think I even have any of that left, so I do need more of that, so that'll be a good thing to make. I'm going to actually pull, sorry, I just bumped everything all at the same time. I'm going to kind of fold this and tear it so that it will fit in this pan a little bit better. And then we'll do it in stages, because it does not fit in here completely. And I will use these pieces, because I will use them either for doing more of this or something else. I use tissue paper quite a lot, so I just want it to fit down in there a little bit better. You can wrinkle it up a little bit, so that's not a big deal, and that actually turns out cool. That's how I kind of got the wrinkles that are in that other one, but we'll just get it so it basically fits in here. And this seriously couldn't be easier. You'll need, I'm using Distress Oxides, and I have certain colors in stamp pads and certain colors in the sprays, so I just kind of alternate or whatever. But what I am using, because I'm going to keep using them in that altered book that has the watercolors, so I basically have rainbow type colors in there. So I have Candied Apple, Carved Pumpkin, Blueprint Sketch, Twisted Citron, Wilted Violet, Salty Ocean, and for yellow I like this Wild Honey. It's the only real yellow I have. I have like a limey-er yellow, but I don't really like it. So, and then I just have pieces of plastic. You could use, like, this is Mylar. That's what I make stencils out of, and these are like leftover pieces. I like to use them for paint or whatever. Or you could use an acetate, or any plastic you have. You could even use, if you have a flat plastic plate of some kind, or, I mean, it doesn't even have to be totally flat, a regular ceramic plate that you don't eat off of. I think all these are non-toxic, but I just wouldn't, you know, then use it to eat off of. So however you want to do it. All right. So then all you're going to do is take your Distress Oxide stamp pad. If you're using stamp pads, a lot of people have said I only have stamp pads. So you just get the ink on there, and then simply just get it wet is all I do. And you can either like dab the paper onto it, flip the plastic over and dab it, or I like to just drip it, because then I can hit more space in a, you know, by doing this. And then you can spray onto these to move the color around. And then usually what I do to get it kind of cleaned off is just plunk it right on there. But I'll probably keep this one for doing reds. I have a few different, well, I have a lot of pieces of this left over, but anyway. And then we're going to do orange. So this is all I do. Just literally that complicated, right? The cool part about having some sprays and some more like this, I mean, if you have all sprays, obviously you can do it very easily, but you can hit spots that get missed if you have, if you're trying to do both like I am. Then you can go in with your sprays and little spots that get missed, like right there. We'll just put a little yellow. Plus it kind of mixes them a little. I don't like to mix them too much because you end up obviously with kind of mud, and that's never a good look. I mean, unless that's what you're going for, like a real grungy thing. But if you want to kind of be able to see the different colors, you're not going to want to make it too muddy. And then for the green, I'm using the Citron. I like that. Twisted Citron. I have some other greens, but I like this one with these colors. So that is as complicated as it gets, really, honestly. And you can just keep playing with it. And then you got to kind of leave it to dry. I just leave it in the little plastic thingy here. What would be great is to like do it outside on like a dollar store shower curtain or something like that, because then you're gonna get sorry, my brain telling you could spread out more and make way more at a time. See, when I do it this way, I kind of can do this, and then I'll probably go set it outside so that it'll dry a little bit faster. I won't have to let it dry overnight that way, and then I could make more. But if you do like a whole shower curtain, you could really go wild and make a big batch, which would be fun. I just like to get lots of color on there because, like I said, I mean, I'm never going to use a piece that's big enough in my book to get all the colors at once. But it just adds so much, I think, when you use these vibrant colors with those watercolor digitals, because they have all these colors in them. And these are the best colors that I've found to match that digital. So... and if I get a little in the blue, it's going to give me a little bit more violet. I mean, this is violet, but it sort of feels like pinky purple to me. And I always think of violet as having more blue in it. I'll do a little bit more purple. I tend to really like the purple and the blue when I'm making these, or using these in my stuff. So you can see it just naturally gets those wrinkles in it. And then when it dyes, it keeps, or dyes. I'm thinking of the dye colors. When it dries, it just naturally gets kind of that tie-dye look, which I think is super fun. And it's kind of good when you're doing this if you think about what colors complement each other, like blue and yellow are complementary to each other on the color wheel. I mean, none of these are going to be awful with each other, but... and then you do something like that, and you get a little bit more green because you're mixing blue and yellow. So, yeah, just play with it, really, is all I can say. And some pages might turn out super awesome, and other ones you're like, no, that was not great. But, you know, that's how it works, so... and I wasn't sure with the first time I did this, because, like, right now, it's like, meh. But then, once it dries, I love how that tissue paper turned out. So, I think it's super fun. Cover up a lot of the red. Oops. Oh well. All right. So then I would take this and put it outside in the sunshine and get it dry, and then it'll be ready to play with. So let's move on to some stamping. I'm going to stack all these little pieces of plastic up and move them out of the way because they're messy. Let them dry as well. What I'll do with those is just take them down to the sink and they'll rinse out great. Isn't that nice? That's the one thing about those oxides is they dye your hands a lot. So I'm just going to take a piece of, this is actually sewing tissue, but paper underneath, just because I'm stamping and it's going to go right through this because it's so thin. And I just have an assortment of stamps. I thought I would try it on the sewing tissue. But if you just have white, just use white. And you can get white cheap, like at the dollar store and stuff like that. And these mushroom stamps are kind of cool too. I don't know if one will fit on there. It probably will. So yeah, just whatever stamps you have. It doesn't have to be the same ones I have. You know, you can use whatever you like. This is the biggest block I have, but this is new, so this I didn't have one even this big before. So how you guys doing? I just got right into it, didn't I? That's what I do. Anybody who watches me knows that. Get a little excited and just get going. I do enjoy doing this. It's super fun. I wish I had more time to do more of it, but life is, so that's why it took me so long to get around to it. I've just had lots of going on. So I'm gonna just kind of plunk it down and hope I get a good image, because this just really adds a lot, especially if you do the watercolor backgrounds like we've been doing on journaling pages, like, or not journaling pages, journaling cards, like this type of thing. And then if you add a piece of that tissue and then maybe like a focal point, like a art doll or a butterfly or a bird, it just turns out really neat. And just like that, you're like set. So see those in the middle, they don't wanna take Tim Holtz ticket booth or whatever these are called, these tickets. And I do go close, you know, stamp to stamp to stamp. You could leave space between them, but I think it looks better. It looks more like, you know, I'm trying to get kind of that look like Tim Holtz does on his tissue, where it's just all kinds of neat things, because then you tear a piece off and use it in a collage or whatever, and they look good. So that's kind of what I go for here with this. Let's do this one. In this set, I do have this little thing. Field notes. I should know that by now. I've only probably said that 1,000 times. And then these stamps on Amazon, you just can find, there's 4 stamps there with mushrooms, and then they all just look collage, sort of like what we're going to do to this paper. So, you know, there's numbers and figure and all those kind of things. I don't know how well you can see it, but anyway, they come in a set of 4, so those are nice. And then just random things that I've had forever. And then I like to have something like, I don't know, these dots are cool, or, you know, like a crackle stamp is good. Probably should have pulled them all out, but I didn't, so here we are. This stamp will probably work much better than it does normally, because normally I don't put it on a block because I'm lazy. I'm sad that that mushroom didn't stamp all the way. I don't know why they do that. Trying to find that crackle. That's the background of it. I probably put it somewhere and now I don't know where. Words are always great. Script works wonderfully because you can put it any direction you want. This one. This ends up being totally messy, like almost worse than the colored tissue paper, because by the time I'm done, I have every stamp in the house dirty and everything else. Let's see, let's use, I've got these little numbers too, which are kind of fun. I mean, they're not going to cover a lot of space, but they're good for filling in little spots. Okay. I don't know what I did with my other crackle, so I guess we'll just use this one. And I'm going to keep it on its little piece of plastic. It just makes it a little bit more stable when you're, you know, doing this, because I don't have a block big enough for that. But that adds a lot of interest. Because remember, this is just all going to get torn up. So it's not going to even matter what you put where. You're just filling the space, essentially. It's easier to do the big ones this way. I can't remember what the company's name is where I get these. If anybody knows, can you put it in the comments? It's like some abbreviation. IOD, I don't even remember. Sorry. I was going to sell their stamps for a while, or their items, because I love them. They're beautiful. But they kind of are more of a decoration, like decorating furniture type thing. And they wanted you to buy so much inventory. It was like, there is no way that I can do that. So I just couldn't afford it. Especially to use the way we would use it, you know. We would mostly use the stamps in junk journaling. Maybe some of the decals, but they're pretty big in size because obviously they're going on furniture. It makes sense. So it just, there's no way. Even if I could afford it. Kind of sad when companies do that, I feel like, because there's a lot of small business people that have Etsy shops and stuff, and I just simply cannot make enough stuff myself to sell. And then, you know, Etsy doesn't allow you to sell stuff from like China and stuff like that, which I understand. They want it to look more homemade. Even though there's people selling stuff on there, I'm not really sure how they're getting away with it, but anyhow, that's a story for another day. But, because I even tried to get Tim Holtz items in my shop, and they said that they won't sell to people that have Etsy shops. So it's just really hard because it's like there's just no physical way I can make enough items for my shop in order to survive. So it's kind of sad. I mean, it, like, in one way it's good because obviously you don't want to just saturate the market there with garbage, basically. But at the same time, it's hard for artists to make enough stuff. Because, of course, everything takes time. Everything. Listing stuff, you know, all of it. You're like, yeah, blah, blah, whatever. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. But it's just truth. So that is what I've been struggling with lately, because I've been trying to find, like, just crafting supplies, you know, so that I'm not competing with anybody's art, so to speak, you know what I mean, kind of thing. But I just can't find anything that I can sell. I thought having like Tim Holtz stamp pads would be good, and stamps, but no can do, even though I've seen people sell his stuff on Etsy. So I don't know if they were like grandfathered in, like they had been selling it for a while, like Etsy allowed it for a while. I have no clue, you know. And then they got kind of grandfathered in, like you're already selling it so you can keep selling it, but nobody else can sell it, kind of thing, which is possible. But it's just very difficult to survive because the competition is wow. And it's sad because when I started 6 years ago, I mean, obviously at first I didn't really have anything much to sell. I sold a few journals, that kind of thing. But once I started making digitals, for a while it worked pretty good. But now it's just the market is so saturated with that I don't know. There's just too much of it now. And I think people are themselves saturated because, you know, you order so many digitals and you're like, I'm just done. Like, I don't have any more to, or I could never possibly use them all, kind of thing. So, and I get that. So I don't know what the answer is. But now that I've just blawed your ear off, I'm sure you're super ecstatic that you're watching today. But anyways, this is kind of what we end up getting. So it's really almost like making a collage with stamps. You just have to be really careful and set it somewhere so that it gets all the way dry. And then you can, I want to see what some of these other little things are. There's a little flower, it looks like. Let it dry before you try to go ripping it up. Oh yeah, it is a little flower. Because obviously you'll just smear it all over the place. Because tissue, even this kind of tissue kind of has a slick surface, you know. That's a little cloud and sunshine. That's a little bit silly, but let's see what this one is. It's random. What is that one? Oh, it's a snowman. I just put him upside down. Oopsies. Because I can't see. I even have my glasses on and I couldn't see that on the stand. Okay, so I'm going to let that to get dry, and I'll let the other one get dry, and then I'll come back and we'll do a little something with them. Be right back. Okay, I am back, and I went ahead and did a white one as well, and I did a few different stamps on this one, but same idea, just covering the whole page. That one's ready, and then this one is dry, and you can see it's quite fascinating because I did nothing to it except put it out in the sunshine. That was it. But it looks far different from when we left, because this is where there were all those little gatherings of almost wrinkles in the tissue paper. I think it went this way. This way. There's not hardly any red left. The orange pretty much went over there and took it over. But, I mean, it's fine. It doesn't matter, because the other one I did turned out completely different. And I did, on this original one, I added some, I think it's instruction, I added some squirts of the wild honey after the fact. So I did get a little bit different look on that one than I got on this one. But, you know, they can all be different however you use them. It just adds a whole lot of color to whatever you're making, I feel like. So super fun and easy. Okay, so I thought we'd go ahead and do a journaling card. And to go in the big tall pocket that we made last week. What day was that? I don't even know. I'll show you guys because I'll never remember. It was the purples and blues. The swan. So I thought, oh no, we're going to do this one. I was going to do something for that pocket, but I decided I want to do the big tall pocket. So that's what we're going to do. Let's make the journaling card for that one. So this is all part of the, I don't want to tear that because I'll tear the ear off. Hold on. Excuse me, that just jumped out of nowhere. I barely got to say hold on. Apologize. Wow. All right. I'm going to just rough this up instead, because I'm afraid if I tear it, I'm just going to tear the little deer's ear off. That would be sad. So we'll just rough it, and then it'll look a little bit like torn, but not. Use a little Mermaid Lagoon again, just to get the edge. And you don't have to ink at all if you don't want to. Lots of people don't. I just can't seem to make anything without inking, so there you go. I just don't feel like it looks complete, but it's just part of my craziness, I guess. All right, so I'll probably put that something like this, but then I want to use some of the tissue. I think I might use a bit of this one. I like this really orangey. So it's going to be entirely different from the pocket, but, you know, I don't mind that. It's going to go like that, I think. Something like that. And then, because I have this gap down here, I was thinking it would be good to, this was just a worksheet from the elementary school I worked at, and it was in their throwaway paper bin. So I scooped it up, and I'm putting it, coffee dyed it. I think I might do it like that, and you see that 5 through there. I think that's kind of cool. We'll put that under as our little border, since this paper doesn't go all the way down, which is totally fine. And then we can use some of our tissue. Do I want, I don't know if what I want here. I'm wondering if I want this piece that does have some of the purple at least. What direction does it go? It changes the texture of the tissue paper entirely. Like, it makes it even more like fine is the only word I can think of. I think we'll have to scooch it up and then kind of crinkle it down or something. We'll figure this out in a second. Hold on. Let me get this piece down. And that's our piece we didn't use last week, so we're using it. I knew I would. And I'm just using a glue stick, my Scotch Crate Permanent. It's my favorite. Oh, and I used it to stamp, so that's why it's black. I used it on the tissue paper, the other piece. So that's another thing you can do, is use things that are around on your desk. I like this circle too. I use that a lot, and that's off of the Tim Holtz tissue paper top. I like to use that. And then I did a few little, you know, my little scribbly things I do. That also is a good thing to do on that tissue paper when you're making it. Fun thing to do. Sticks to your fingers, and you gotta be real careful because it's very fragile-y. And maybe I'll just cut that part off. I like how you can see that pea right there. That's funny. It's got a little hole in it. I like that piece, but okay. And I'm gonna put this one under. So I'm not going to worry about inking it because a lot of it's just going to get covered, and the parts that are going to probably show are already pretty coffee dyed. So, it's fine. So yeah, anything that you have that makes like cool holes and things, that's also a fun little thing. I want one of these. I think I want a white one for this. I just feel like it shows up really well. I do like the mushroom thing though. I think I might just put that piece right there. Oh, another thing I have to make marks that I forgot until I started doing the other one is, this is a piece of textured wallpaper from who knows when. But anyway, makes a really cool stamp. So even if you don't have a lot of stamps, just go around your house and find things that make texture-y. Like if you're new to crafting, it's a great way to do it. Yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll have to scoot that over. See, I just like wrote on there. That's going to get chopped off anyway, but I'm just telling you, if you want to do that, it's fun to write numbers and little scribbly things that maybe look like writing but aren't writing. Wrinkle it a little bit more. I might just go around the back with this, and then we'll probably end up covering that, but it's okay, because we'll put a piece of something to write on the back, so we have writing space. Okay, like that. So there's loads you can do with this tissue paper, because you could go over pieces, you know. You could stamp on the colored tissue after you make it. That would also look real cool. I want to make sure I didn't have ink all over it, because I do that. Okay, then maybe we can use a piece of this tissue that we watercolored. Let's get this piece as I use it up. It's that linen tape that you use for like injuries or whatever, medical sort of tape. And then I watercolored it, let it dry, and then stamped on it, marked on it, you know, all that. Do whatever you want to it. But it's just fun, because then you get that watercolor color and, you know, some interest on there, which I like. What did I put on my... I'm going to add a few more stamps or writing or something on those, because a lot of it got, you know, torn off. So We will do my little, this is to one of my little water bottles that I use to spritz these lids. I never use the lids, so I'm like, I might as well use it for something. And then you can mark on these. I don't know, it just adds interest for what reason, I don't know, but it works. These Sharpies work a little bit better for like a rough texture. And I'm just mark making. You can make any marks you want. Doesn't have to be anything specific. It just adds interest. Okay. And then we'll put some other paper on the back. And now we have a journaling card to go in that pocket. Well, this bit, I think it's a little, it'll work. Because it doesn't have to go total edge to edge to edge to edge kind of thing. That was just some of that we splattered and whatnot. You know what, I might cut that so that I don't have to tear all the edges, and then it'll probably get stitched around too, so that helps. So what is this? 5 1/8. I'm gonna put this way. Did it scooch out from under that? I don't want it exactly. I think it did anyway. It got crooked. So I'm going to hold the bottom. Sometimes it likes to do that. It really does it with thin paper or paper that has been dyed, like this paper, because the paper gets wavy and then that cutter doesn't. It just wants to fold it instead of cut it. So that's what the problem there is. It's always something with cutters. You know, if you get the other kind, then the blade gets dull and it's just tearing it, and then what I need is one of those really fancy Fiskars ones, like Gail Agostinelli has one. I mean, they're pretty big, but it seems like that it's like got a rotary type cutter. That thing seems to last forever, because Gail even talks about how it doesn't ever seem to get dull or whatever. This will match our page. That, or the pocket that it's going in. Not that that matters, because you don't see it until you pull it out, and it doesn't have to match perfectly. That would be boring. I'm gonna put a little more glue here because I missed it. I always miss at least one corner, if not all of them, when I glue. And then you can see, because this is book page, it's coming apart, but like I said, I'm going to stitch around it, so I'm not worried about it. These were pages that came out of this altered book that we're doing. I may even want to round corners. That is a really nifty trick that makes it easier, especially for these big, tall pockets. Or, well, yeah, for the tall pockets. but for the card to go in and out easier. It doesn't get as caught up if it doesn't have the sharp corners. See, it's totally coming apart because it got wet from the glue. I'll catch it when I sew, but sometimes I like to just have a little glue because I'm going to try to put it in the pocket right now and I don't want it to grab it. We need to fix that. See, you find all the things that you missed. There we are. I like it. Oh, did I even? That one apparently said no when it went in there. Which one was it? This one. It didn't want to be rounded. Okay. Now we can put it in our pocket. It goes nicely. And I'll put a piece of fabric or something so that it is easy to spot out of the pocket there. So now we have something in a pocket. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that that was helpful for the tissue paper thing. And I will see you again soon. Love you guys. Talk later. Bye.